Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the webinar. My name is Charlie Roger, and I'm the Marketing Manager here at Bullhorn, and it's my pleasure to welcome and thank you for joining us for today's training session. Today, I am pleased to be joined with Raymond Pennie. Raymond is the co-founder and director at Kyloe Partners, and he has a healthy obsession with all things digital. He's worked with recruitment businesses to maximize their efficiency from existing or new IT applications, to reduce costs and speed up the process to drive sales. And he is consistently exploring new ways of making Bullhorn work better for recruiters. For those of you who don't know, Kyloe are a global Bullhorn integration partner with years of experience both with Bullhorn and within the recruitment sector. Originally founded by Stuart Morgan, who's the ex-Bullhorn Director of Professional Services, and Raymond, Kyloe helped recruitment businesses implement smarter decisions faster through the use of their apps, plugins, or via bespoke development or adoption projects. Essentially, Kyloe helps recruitment agencies get the most out of Bullhorn. They currently have over 300 clients globally, and they offer apps that help recruiters go beyond Bullhorn's basic capabilities. Before we hand things over to Raymond, there are a couple of housekeeping points. So the webinar today will last for around 15 minutes, and we will be recording it. At the end of the webinar, we'll be sharing that recording with you, and that will be in your mailboxes sort of within the next 24 hours. The final piece of housekeeping is that this is a sort of quick training program that we will be rolling out monthly. And as you're hopefully aware, we at Bullhorn pride ourselves on the service that we provide to our customers. This webinar series is no different, and we would like to get as much feedback from you about the areas of the system that you would like more information on or more training on, so that we can build that into the training program over the next couple of months. That's all from me, so I'm now going to pass things over to Raymond.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Charlie. As I've only got 15 minutes, I won't do too much chat, and I will jump straight in. We're going to cover three things today, three headings. We're going to cover how to use Fast Find. We're going to cover how to get the best out of list views, and we're also going to look at some common search terms, how best to use them, and how to use them across the candidate searches, across shortlist searches, and across job searches. So without further ado, I thought I will go straight into the very first area. So you're about to pick up the phone, reception tell you that you've had somebody called Martin Wishart who is on the phone, and he's a candidate. And all you need to do is go to Fast Find at the top. You need to put in the first two letters and 3 letters of the surname, and on Fast Find you can see candidates and you can see jobs connected to that person. So Fast Find is really, really fast. You can see that the items that showed on the Fast Find are color-coded, and they're color-coded to go with the entities they represent. So green represents a candidate, and a variety of different colors, as I'm sure you're all aware. Now, if you want to see more, then you can obviously hit the return button, and as you hit enter, then that brings you into the record, which is a great thing to do. But if you go back to the Fast Find and you want to see what you found, then you go and have a look and you see which records have been found, and it brings you up the complete list. Now, this is configurable by your admin, and if you wanted to show different things, then obviously it can. One of the things that you could also do is if you've got a missed call and you want to find out who it was and see whether they're on their database, then what you can do is you can type in some numbers into the Fast Find, and hopefully at some point it brings up, well, maybe they don't know any of that one, 869 697. Well, obviously there's no one in the database with that number, which is fine. There we go. 869. There we go. Oh, well, we haven't got anybody attached to that number, even though I thought I had. Also, if you go to the Fast Find, if you type in one word, you will also assume that what it's looking for is letters in the surname. So P-E-N-N, and you'll find all the candidates or contacts in my name. If you also go to Fast Find and you only know the first name, then it assumes, as we've said, that it's the surname. So if you want to look for it by first name, you need to use a star, and that'll find everybody with RAYM star. That's how you get First Find. Now you'll also see that it is bringing up some jobs, and what you'll find is by bringing up jobs, when you go to the Fast Find, it'll only bring up jobs that are open. So if you go to the Fast Find and bring up the list by hitting enter, it will bring up all the jobs attached to that person that are open at the time, because there's no point in finding any jobs that are actually closed. So I hope that you all know how to use the Fast Find and you use it all the time. The second area I'd like to cover today is I'd like to speak about list views. List views are the best thing ever in Bullhorn, in my personal opinion. It is the easiest way, and you can get really, really complicated with them, or you can get really, really straightforward. So I do hope that everyone has got their favorites and has set up the columns that they want to use in their Fast Find. I go with ID number. I like to have a score when I'm doing a search, names, titles, current companies, etc. Now, everyone knows, I hope, that you can pick them up and you can move them left and right. You can move them off screen if you wish. And if you want to add some new columns to it, you can go and look them up. So if I want to put in another note, I want to look for notice period, I can add it in, and that column will go to the end of the list view. Again, the columns that are available in the list view are controlled by your system admin, and they get added to the right-hand side. So I think the list views are amazing. One of the things that we also have, whilst we refresh, don't want to do that. One of the things that also happens when we do is you, oh, okay, that was unexpected. When you're in here, then you also want to make sure that there are certain notes and certain types of columns that you want to be using all the time. I like to check whether candidates have had notes added. I also like to see the last note available, and I also like to see the descending by score. So excuse me while I log back in, which was a bit of a surprise, so apologies for that. The other things I'm going to cover off as we go through is we're also going to cover off how to run a search. And here comes my list again. And if I go to my candidate search, I hope that everyone is also aware that when you're in your candidate list, if you go to this big box here, it says search. And if you go and click in the search box, then the search box will bring up your preset fields. Come on, internet. There you go. So what we have in here, I've set up some of the best fields to search with. So I'm not going to run a session today on how to do Boolean, but if anyone is interested, you'll also see, along with the search, you'll also see a recent box. And in the recent, you can go and see the most recent searches you've done. So if I give you an illustration of how to use, or the restrictions, or how you can use the different Boolean operators that are available in Bullhorn, then what you have here is you can have ands, you can have ors, you can have, obviously, inverted commas, you can have in brackets, and nots. So because I'm an accountant, I'm looking for someone who's got finance, who's either been an FD or a finance director, who's had some form of accounting, but I don't want to make sure that they've been a turf accountant, so therefore I don't want to include jockeys. And if you run that search, then that search will bring back results, and the results will be all the people who match that. The score is a very interesting area. It's not something I'm going to go into today. It's some of the black magic that's available in Bullhorn, and it constantly looks at your search results and gives you back candidates in an order. And I think it's something that's being worked on all the time. So if I go back again into the search, I was going to look at some of the favorite areas that I've got. So I would expect everyone to have preset some search criteria and search criteria there. Now they all appear as blank, but in here you've got things like status. So you may say only looking for candidates that are active or are registered, and that might be something that you can pick here, or you can use that as a filter when you go into your list view. I like to look at people that have only been spoken to and have notes added in the last 7 days, 14 days, etc. So that's predefined. So therefore, there's no point in looking for candidates that someone hasn't already been speaking to. I like to work on, make the most of the work with my colleagues. Another great area is I may want to be involved in a search, and I want to include people that are either on a hot list. So I would expect that most of you probably have a blacklist of candidates that you know not to get in touch with. You probably have them as a hot list, and you would probably want to exclude anyone in your search that comes up from that blacklist. This is you can either include or exclude, but I think it's a really useful place to go. Another area that if you work in the temp market, it's really important in the temp market that you maybe try and keep your workers working for you. So what you're trying to do here is in your search, you might want to look for people that have been placed by you in the past. So you would only look for candidates that have been placed with you in the past. And therefore you'd run that search and it would find you everybody that previously had been placed, which is a great thing to do because you want to keep people working for you. So again, there we go. One of the other areas is you may also be looking for the people who have been on other people's shortlists. So it may be people that they've had submissions. So therefore they've been submitted by someone else. You know they're current, you know that they've been spoken to recently, and their CV has been sent forward. So I'm also a big fan of looking for candidates that have got submissions. And those, so again, you get to say with or without submissions. Obviously, you'd be looking for people that have been submitted by some of your colleagues. The use of skills is important, I think, in that if you can say which of the skills are their primary skills. I know that Boolean allows you to make searches very, very detailed, but I think using big buckets for primary skills is still an important thing. And you can either include primary skills as an include any, or you can make sure that they include all. Then as I get through into some of the other areas, I'd like to look at desired salary. So if you ask everybody what their salary is, then you don't want to be looking for people and putting them forward for jobs that don't have, that aren't interested in salaries under £30,000, for example. Then I've also got set up the address field, and I'm looking for people that are within 50 kilometers of, we'll pick somewhere really strange. So we will pick Orkney, which is, for those of you that know, is the tip of Scotland, and that's where all the technical team for Kyloe are based. So if you go in and run the search across for find people in Orkney, obviously we've got lots of people in our database for Orkney. This is where I'll probably start speaking about favorites. If you know a particular location that you're always looking for good candidates in, then I would suggest that you have a favorite. So for those that don't know how to do it, if you go save this search, if you say save this search, give it a name, and you can either make it private or public. Public means it's available to everyone, or you can identify who you'd like to make it public to, so you can share it with some others, or you can share it with other people in the team. You give it a name, you hit save, and that search will now be public for everyone, and therefore people can make the most of it. Another thing to do as a search, and one of the favorite things I've done is said, okay, so which people, if you know that you want to track candidates who have either worked for someone or are currently working for someone in a location. So what I've done here is I've run a search, and the search is actually looking for anyone who is based in Orkney whose current employer is Kyloe. So for those of you who don't know Martin, please give him a call and get to know him. But that's a saved search that I've run, and it's there, and it works really well. Another use of favorites is looking for people who are available and have notes in the last 21 days. So what I've done is I've got a favorite search. It's called available with current notes. And if you look to see what's been looked at in that search, then you'll see that it's people with status available with a last note added in the last 180 days. So another great example of how to use favorites. And then my final point is submitted and available in the last 90 days. And if I go and look and see what I've used in this particular search, I've said that it's someone who's available, who's had a note added in the last 270 days, who appears in the hot list to be excluded for people that we haven't sent a GDPR to in the last month, but who have been submitted to other jobs. So I think that's another great use of that. If you don't like these search terms that you've got, obviously you can click the clear all button, and that makes it nice and easy. So the one last thing that I'd like to say as we run through this sprint through searching is that as we come to the 25th of May, it will be important that you are able to find candidates that have you've either sent them an email about consent or you're inquiring to them about consent. So if you go to your search fields button, and if you scroll right to the end, and you will start to see a new area called consent for those of you who enabled the GDPR consent. So you can say, find me candidates where the consent email has been sent, or they've had an update received, or the date that the consent was added, or people whose legal basis is legitimate interest. So all of those are there for you to search. So it's great. Get your consent tab enabled, and then you're able to search on it, which I think is really useful. Now, just two more things before we go for the day. An area I would really recommend that you go and spend time in is in the shortlist area. And again, it's my belief that you want to be using candidates that have been found by others that are already well aware of your business and have been put forward. So in here, what we've got in the shortlist tab with columns, so these are recently added shortlist statuses where you've got the candidate name, where they got in the progress on the job, which vacancy it was, and who the client was. And that's set up as a favorite, and it's set up as a favorite of second interviews but not placed. And if we go and have a look at what is in the search template for that, then what we've done is you can then say, I'm interested in people who've been shortlisted recently, but I only trust the ones that have been shortlisted by Charlie, because I know Charlie's a really good recruiter, so I would make sure that I only include the people that I have respect for and know that they've done work properly. So that's what I would do in the shortlist tab. So are you still hearing me? Yeah, good. So that's what I would say on the shortlist tab. And I've got one last thing to say. If you're a manager and you are running a team, one of the things you should do in your search tab is have a list, and have that list such that on your formatted list and on a search, you've got people don't have CVs and people don't have interviews. So you're managing a list. Here are all your open jobs where you've yet to send a CV or yet to send an interview. So that is my whistle-stop tour of searching. Sorry that it was a whistle-stop tour. I think what we've done is we've crammed into 15 minutes something that would take 2 hours. But Charlie, hopefully we've shown people how to look at FastTie, and we've looked at how to deal with lists, and we've been able to say something about searching. Charlie, over to you. Last thing, and here's a picture of everyone who works at Kyloe. So if you've got any questions or you really would like to engage with us in some way, please, kyloepartners.com. And thank you very much for the session today. Thanks, Charlie.
Great, thank you very much, Raymond, for that. As mentioned, this is a quick tour, some tips and tricks for how to get the most out of your Bullhorn system. I will leave the panel open, the webinar open for a little bit longer. As mentioned, the purpose of this is for it to be client-led. So if there are any areas of Bullhorn which you're looking for a little bit more information on, some training on, we will build that into this webinar series. So please feel free to drop your comments or suggestions into the question bar on the webinar control panel. Additionally, if you have any specific questions, feel free to drop them in there as well, and we'll arrange for one of your account managers to reach out to you. But for today, all I'm going to say is thank you very much to Raymond for hosting the session, and thank you all for attending. If you do have any questions or you want to reach out on email, you can reach us at sales@bullhorn.com, or you're more than welcome to give us a call on 0203 617 6262. Thank you very much.